I've been working on this styrofoam drawing throughout the day until pretty much the point in which Dad and I went to Salvatore's, which, if I recall, was around 5 p.m. When Dad got back for the second time today from looking at houses. The second time he looked at, in this case, one house, it was from 3 p.m. roughly to around 3:38 p.m. This is a styrofoam drawing I've been making as a gift for Grandma. I worked on the sunflower side during the morning and the early afternoon hours. And now I've got just one side to complete. There was a point in which Dad gave me the idea to do a rainbow behind these tulips, but I'm more likely to follow through with my original plan, which is to do a berry bush with the berries, these colors, behind these tulips. These are some of the markers that I used to complete today's progress on the styrofoam drawing. It was around 3:38 p.m. when Dad got back for the second time from looking at a house. But it was about 5 p.m. when we went to Salvatore's. And around maybe 7:15 p.m., when we left Salvatore's, after we ordered, Dad ordered I placed it, but Dad paid for it. Since I don't have an income source for the time being, Dad uses Salvatore's reward points to get this pizza. This large pizza with bacon, traditional red sauce, or marinara sauce, bacon and cup char, pepperoni. It's close to midnight right now. I fell asleep at around 7:30 p.m. I set an alarm for 11, but I don't think it was very effective because I think I got up at least half an hour later. It'd be by maybe my dad waking me up. I think it was either in the morning or the early afternoon hours when I completed this technology in order to advance to the Iron Age. And I'm currently in the process of finishing off the Bronze Age technologies. I believe it was during my morning hour session work on the sunflower side of the styrofoam drawing. I drew those petals in with the intention of making a purely realistic sunflower drawing close up because I had all that space to fill. Using Sharpie markers. Dad, for the first time he left to look at houses, he was gone from 9 in the morning to about 1 in the afternoon. It was about probably closer to 1:20 in the afternoon because it was around 1 when I microwaved that pesto ziti with the meatball for 1 minute and 15 seconds. And he got back pretty much as soon as I was done eating that. I remember it was around this time from between the first time Dad left to look at some houses to the second time Dad left to look at a single house in order to decide which of the houses he's been looking at recently to put a bid on. Then I made some preparations for the upcoming trip to Mom's side of the family. I believe we're going to the country club. And my facial hair was trimmed up by being shaved somewhat with an electric razor. It was around that time that I took a shower at Dad's apartment unit. There were some difficulties with the temperature of the water. For all in all, it went from warm to somewhat cold and then back to warm. And then back to somewhat cold again. That's how it went throughout the whole thing. I think the second time it got warm again was very brief, from what I recall. While I was putting the soap on, so I just washed it off with cold water. While Dad and I were at Salvatore's, for my first drink, around the time before we got the large pizza to go, using Dad's points, not using his points because I'm not sure you can use your points on an order of fried dough. which is what we got for here at Salvatore's, and we shared it. Came with plenty of powdered sugar and cinnamon. When I reached the Iron Age and this building was upgraded, this town hall building, I thought it would lead to it producing more forge points daily. Not really thinking about the coins it produced, but it kind of ended up being the other way around. Still, though, I like how the new town hall looks. Just the coins production of the town hall increased. And the forge points production remained the same. Here's where I am currently. Anyway, for my first drink at Salvatore's, I had the drink of the month for May, I believe. Though I recall having it during an earlier visit to Salvatore's in very late April. A cocktail called a grapevine. With grape vodka, lime juice, and cranberry juice, along with something else. Later on, Dad gave me the idea to take a picture of each drink of the month and their ingredients written on that neon marker sort of whiteboard. I used my phone's camera app zoomed in. Although when taking the picture, I ended up zooming somewhere between 4 to 5 times in order to try and get as little as possible besides that whiteboard, which that's just a technical name given for something, a board that you write on using markers. In fact, the board was more clear colored or black than white. The second drink I had around the time I placed the order for the large pizza we took home. I believe Dad had some of it while I slept. From roughly 7:30 p.m. to about 11:30 p.m. So while that large pizza was being placed and before it came out done from being cooked, I had a fruity mule, which essentially is a cup or pint or mug of ginger beer. Which is a special type of beer that tastes different from all the other kinds. In that instead of tasting bitter, it tastes pretty sweet. A way of describing it that came into mind not too long ago is that it's a mix of beer and ginger ale. Which might be somewhat accurate since ginger ale is sweet tasting. I'm currently saving up the mana I'll need in order to activate this research technology. I remember, I think it was in the afternoon, from noon to the early afternoon, when I had gotten to a point where I made a decision to go from being purely realistic with the sunflower drawing to being a little, what's it called, expressionist? Either way, I decided to do these lines and these rays of sunshine from the sunflower. Maybe in order to represent how sunflowers are connected to the sun. After all, their heads follow the sun. They have some kind of instinct that tells them where the sun is. At least if they're outside. I don't know if that still occurs if they're inside. Anyway, it was either the morning or the early afternoon when Dad gave me, more likely the morning in this case, the idea to do a rainbow behind the tulips. But again, I'm probably going to do the berry bush. We'll see how much time I have and ultimately what I end up doing. I'm doing fine right now. Yeah, my nose isn't running, although at certain points throughout today, my nose was runny. And I would occasionally have to sneeze. And this carried on over to our trip to Salvatore's. Which by that point, and for about 10 minutes before we went to Salvatore's, I was somewhat tired. And in a sense, there was kind of a sense of wanting to go home so I could take a nap, but I still managed to show the bartender who was there, who we're familiar with, both Dad and I, my newest finished styrofoam drawing. Since typically I tend to only take pictures of styrofoam drawings when they're either finished or can appear finished when I take a picture of them from the front. The thing is, with the styrofoam drawing I'm currently working on, I'm not really sure if to make the sunflower side the front or the tulip side the front. I guess it'll come down to which side I decide is better. And I didn't start creating the U-Cut video project for yesterday's my dinner video and uploading it to YouTube until Dad and I were at Salvatore's. And it was also during that trip to Salvatore's that I did my daily Duolingo Spanish lesson. Rather than doing those things earlier, because when I was at Dad's, I wanted to focus on working on this gift styrofoam drawing for Grandma on Mom's side of the family. Also, Dad did some laundry today. I believe it was around 8 in the morning when he collected the clothes I left out in the hallway just outside the door to this spare room, maybe around 6 in the morning. I ended up, I believe I may have started work on the sunflower drawing during the early morning hours of today. And it was somewhere between late morning. It was most likely either late morning. Yeah, it was late morning when Dad finished the laundry and brought my clothes portion of it into the spare room. He has a habit of putting the clothes on top of this cardboard box, which I don't really like because I'm concerned that doing that could cause damage to this cardboard box, which is pretty sentimental because I drew on it years ago. And I might want to recreate those drawings on styrofoam someday, at least some of them. I believe I mostly drew most of the drawings. A majority of them come from when I once attempted to stamp for 24 hours straight. It's something I called the Day-a-thon. And I nearly succeeded, but then I fell asleep while sitting upright, I recall, so hence why I have a tendency to take any clothes he puts on the cardboard box off and place it somewhere else. In this case, I put my clothes on top of the case to my laptop, which currently has another smaller laptop. It was around 7:30 in the morning when I had a blueberry muffin and some coffee, and about half an hour later I had another blueberry muffin. I believe I finished the coffee around 11 in the morning while Dad was away looking at houses, and this cup was a standalone cup that was partially full and left in the fridge. I assumed that cup was mine since it was plain, and I tend to have coffee plain, while Dad tends to have his coffee with at least creamer, and that makes the coffee lighter.